Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe
You know
button
what's
right
wild?
now.
The New York Mets were so done with Jeff McNeil at second base that they were literally willing to take anyone else. And I mean anyone. We're talking about guys whose main selling point is just playing decent defense. That's it. Nothing else. So here's what went down. The Athletic just dropped this massive report about the Mets offseason, and buried in there is this whole saga about how the front office basically ghosted McNeil. Like, they pursued Bo Bichette early on before landing Marcus Semien. They kicked the tires on Bichette again for third base. They looked at all these different options. But McNeil for second base never even came up in conversation. Think about that for a second. This is a guy who's been their second baseman and utility player for years, and the organization had already mentally moved on so completely that his name didn't even enter the discussion. They were genuinely considering Luisangel Acuna and Isiah Kiner-Falefa instead. Now, both those guys can field, sure, but offensively, we're not exactly talking about game changers here. The reasons why McNeil fell out of favor seem pretty layered. There's obviously the defense angle. His glove work at second wasn't terrible or anything, but it wasn't great either, just kind of serviceable, and apparently that wasn't good enough anymore for what David Stearns is trying to build. Then there's all the noise about his relationship with Francisco Lindor. We've heard whispers about locker room stuff, chemistry issues, that whole deal. Whether that's overblown or legitimate, who knows, but it's definitely part of the narrative. After the Mets shipped out Brandon Nimmo and chose not to bring back Pete Alonso in free agency, trading McNeil felt almost inevitable. And they found their dance partner in the Oakland Athletics, who agreed to eat a chunk of his salary. The return? A low-level prospect. Basically nothing. This wasn't about getting value back. This was about getting out of the marriage. Because here's the reality the Mets were facing. If McNeil stuck around, he's riding the bench most days. You've got a veteran who's not happy, not playing, and probably becoming a distraction. That's a recipe for disaster in any clubhouse. Better to just rip the Band-Aid off and move on. Now, Steve Cohen has all the money in the world, like an absurd amount of money, but even billionaires like saving cash when they can, right? And the Mets are actually positioning themselves better because of this move. The entire philosophy behind it comes down to one thing: defense up the middle. Stearns is absolutely obsessed with it. This isn't some revolutionary new strategy either. It's old-school baseball thinking. Control the middle of the diamond, and everything else falls into place. The second base market this offseason was absolutely loaded with defensive upgrades. Brendan Donovan, Ketel Marte, and several others were all reportedly on the Mets' radar. Any one of those guys represents a significant upgrade defensively over what McNeil brought to the table. So when you look at it that way, McNeil's fate was sealed the moment the front office decided defense was the priority. The fact that they were even considering Acuna, a guy with limited experience and whose bat is still developing, tells you everything you need to know. They valued the defensive potential over McNeil's established veteran presence. That's how far he'd fallen in their estimation. What's interesting is how quickly it all unraveled. One minute McNeil's an everyday player, the next he's not even in consideration for his primary position. The Mets made it clear they wanted nothing to do with him at second base anymore, and once that decision was made, his days in Queens were numbered. Sometimes in baseball, it really is that simple and that brutal.